I always felt that it was wrong to lay my world in foreign hands. So why did it take so long to find the strength to steal it back? All that I once had and so much more, an open door so I can finally breathe again. All this weight should lift from every inch that suffocates the way that I think. If somehow all becomes far from misfortune, destiny, oh, that I've come to believe that's the only way to pass each day, can find a feeling so empty till then. I see a way out and I can see the sun on the horizon, but it's getting more and more distant. Oh, every time you turn and face away, I see a way out and I can hear an echo that begs to be followed. Lord only knows where it's taking me. Lord only knows where it's taking me. Oh, 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 oh. And not so long ago, I seemed to think that I had the whole thing figured out, only to find myself trapped at the heart of someone else. Oh, but now I finally see the other side, and just in time before I let it pull me in again. I see a way out and I can see the sun on the horizon, but it's getting more and more distant. Oh, every time you turn and face away, I see a way out and I can hear an echo that begs to be followed. Lord only knows where it's taking me. Lord only knows where it's taking me. Oh, oh, oh. And though new life must be born from the ashes, but I'm more than willing to start again, to start again. Oh no, new life must be born from the ashes, but I'm more than willing to start again, to start again, to start again. I see a way out and I can see the sun on the horizon, but it's getting more and more distant. Oh, every time you turn and face away, I see a way out and I can hear an echo that begs to be followed. Lord only knows where it's taking me. Lord only knows where it's taking me. Oh,
Good morning, fellas. What's going on? Sorry for the small gap. You know, I just lose track of time sometimes. One day turned into 5, 5 turned into 10. I caught it before it slipped too long. We all know how long those breaks can be. But I'm going to try to maintain the schedule. Nothing has changed. I just needed to go ahead and take a little bit of time here. But what's going on, guys? We got some movement in the market over the past 2 to 3 days. That's quite exciting to talk about. Let me go ahead and change the stream songs real quick, and then we will go ahead and start talking about price action. Not going to be on too long today. I will try to stream tomorrow just to kind of catch up, give you more kite time for the time that I've missed. And then after I've resolved my debt, we will resume the 2-day schedule going forward. Just do. There we go. Alrighty, man. Pop over here. Should be getting a haircut today, tomorrow. So next stream, hopefully, I'll have the camera on here. What's going on, guys? Let me turn on my second monitor. Pop over the chat. And throw this over here. Nature's Game, what's going on, man? Sky Knight said he's alive. Longle, why do you stream, Kite? I stream because trading is a lonely game. And when I first started off, I wanted something a little bit different than just than what I was doing. So I started streaming. People liked it, and I kept doing it. That's all there really was to it. I mean, in the beginning, we would spend 13 hours, 14 hours live streaming. Those were the glory days. Back when I was consumed. Well, I shouldn't say glory days. Those were toxic days. Those were when trading had me, and I didn't have trading. If that makes sense, right? Like I was caught up. Crypto Andrew, what's going on, man? Saintly, yo. BK, good morning. It's almost afternoon here, but still good morning. Appreciate you. David, hey babe, what's going on, baby? What's going on? How you doing? Did you trade the LTC pair, or was the gap between the A and the C too big? Yeah, just that was the plan going forward. I have it up on my chart now. Last time I was here, I did say that I wasn't going to trade the crossover because to me there is just a little bit too much room. With the A and the C. Hopefully going forward in the future, we get some sort of A to B to C kind of above this A. That's when I would go ahead and pick up the macro trade if we're going to carry it into the future. But as of right now, nothing on LTC. Obviously, we somewhat knew, obviously, or could guess, had an inkling that LTC would perform well. But obviously, there's just nothing for me to latch onto. Of course, is there always the chance that it could just go zoom? Yeah, there's that chance. But to me, I just want to be a little bit more safe when, there's trades like Bitcoin that were available, which were a lot more appetizing and had plenty of room. So this is my chart that we left off with on the last stream. Nothing has changed. All right. In terms of like me adding or subtracting lines. All right. This was the trade. And it went quite well, all things considering. Usually, we were kind of buckled down and we expect multiple stop outs. For the most part, depending on what your stop loss was, 2%, 1.5%, this would have been pretty much a breeze here. I think me personally, I maybe got stopped out at minimum twice, but I think I got stopped out a third because I was trying to go with a smaller stop loss, but ended up just, saying F it and being a little bit more safe. And we have now, as expected, obviously, like, do I ever think it's going to go that fast? Not quite. But as expected, we are retesting the previous local high of the downtrend with the versing uptrend. And at the moment, currently kind of stalling out here. Now, my hope is going to be is that we do get a rejection here, not a major one, but a ever so slight rejection, creating a differential in trend. Because if you look at the uptrend right now, and thankfully, a lot of the people in my Discord have been doing this quite a while, and we're able to warn others, don't get caught up trying to hedge trade these little tiny blips, and just look at the larger picture. If you don't see a nice trend that's either equal to or similar to the one that you're currently trading, then is it really a hedge position that you want to be in? Now, I don't think it's ill will to take some of these short positions. If you're looking at it from like a short-term time frame perspective, you're going to take short-term profit on a different account. That's an option. But at the moment, for all intents and purposes, this is a singular uptrend, and we have not had an actual break in that trend. So hopefully with this resistance area, we do get some sort of rejection, pull back down to the downside, create that separation of trend, and then obviously if we get one more kick to the upside, that is going to be the level in which I'm hedge trading short. And that would create a range between these two macro plays. And then from there, it's all about waiting. We have now created a range. We have secured the profit from the long trade. And then if we happen to dump to the downside, we're covered. If we happen to continue pumping to the upside, we're covered. Now, obviously, if we continue pumping to the upside here, we would hope that at some point, we get some sort of ABC position. And that's the thing. People hate waiting. People hate not knowing. But part of this game is patience. And if you're not willing to hold that long trade until there's an appropriate point where the market's like either, I wouldn't blame you if you took profits maybe at the all-time high here. And then maybe I would still, like, even if you took profits, I would be patient. But, like, if you're afraid that it's going to be a one and done rejection and we fall all the way back down, I could see why you do it. But I do think it's important to practice patience and letting the market do what it does. And eventually, all right, sometimes it might be a very long time, but if it's going that way, it's going that way in your favor. Okay? So, just like how the run up of this bull market, there was literally 1, 2, 3. There was 3 decent ABC long positions down in this region, and we really didn't get any ABC long position until up here, allowing you to get out. Obviously this was the first one right here, and then that was the second, and then the third. So that's quite a while, but in my opinion, with long trades in particular, you should have a tremendous amount of patience because there's really no downside. Of course, could you be missing out on a bit of compounding? Yeah, but it's better to go ahead and let that do what it does and then compound even larger later than just constantly try to enter and exit and enter and exit, which is going to get you just really messed up. Now, with short trades, because the maximum you can ever make off a short trade is 100%, which, aka, that would mean the price of the asset goes to zero and then you make no money anyways. We've talked about this in the past, but like if you ever achieve a 40% to 50% on real chart profit, sometimes it's best to just kind of cut it, because beyond that point you are starting to get diminishing returns, and it's a lot harder to obtain those profits. So if you go ahead and reset the trade, you're patient, you wait for the next option, then that's probably the best going forward. Let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum, because Ethereum actually had a pretty exciting bounce here. So these were the local lows of Ethereum here and here and here, and it's really no surprise that that's exactly how things worked out. Now, unfortunately, Ethereum on the larger time frames, 4-hour, daily, 12-hour, wasn't really showing any like macro ABC long positions, but you know, with the way Bitcoin was looking, the way Litecoin was working, if you did happen to go down to the 1 hour to 2 hour, there was a very, very nice kind of one and done ABC here that you could have taken advantage of. It was a long position while sitting at macro local lows on the daily chart. So if you get that option, you know, it's all about confluence. Okay. The time frame is one thing. That's obviously the biggest metric that we look at. But obviously local lows, you know, when we're looking for bounces is incredibly important. And you guys kind of know how I feel. Local highs are for resistance and local lows are for support. So, you know, when we're falling down here, of course, it kind of did work out like that. But, you know, this is our previous local high in the uptrend. And then obviously you can see how we kind of used it as support here. But you can see for we created that support back here. So that's now a local low within the uptrend. So it makes sense for it to use it. I'm not saying that local highs can't be used as new support from previous resistance, but it's a whole lot less likely to happen. We've seen it many, many times in the past where Bitcoin blows past local highs only to fall down to the nearest local low and find support. So just keep that in mind when you're searching for confluence, because sometimes people are going to put more importance on a local high because it better fits with their agenda. You said KDA pump? How much? Oh, that's quite nice. That is quite nice. So I mean, it's nice to see. We do have the macro ABC here, and this was the level to hold. Obviously, if it went beyond that and it stayed below that, it could be very, very catastrophic for the coin itself. So it's nice to see. I mean, this is a very nice like rounding out bottom that KDA has going on. And maybe that's, you know, obviously I would have hoped that it was this one that, you know, took us up to where we wanted to be. But it's very nice to see that. And I don't have any malice towards KDA. Obviously, it does suck. But once again, it's a longer lasting coin. There's a lot of coins that come out during the hype times that try to grab your attention, and those I'll give it a year, I'll give it 2 years, I'll give it 3 years, and that's what I did for KDA. I didn't really take part in this pump here, but there's some really good R&R to be had on this coin, especially with the pattern that it's showing. So we might revisit it for sure. But I think things are in a very good position. I think the market needed a nice retest, and that was part of the problem with how Bitcoin was kind of moving. Besides the couple months that we spent over here, there was really nothing, in my opinion. I think the bull market got going way too early. And because of that, there was less confidence in it. It's the combining factors that create these magical bull markets for Bitcoin. Not only is it the halvening, which we've talked about time and time again, about how it's losing its importance and its impact because of the amount of supply that's out there versus how it was in the past, but it's the combination of that. The supply shock, and more importantly, the retail hype that plays into it around the same time, which causes a trifecta, and you get these really monumental bull markets. This happened way before the bull market. So to me, I view this as people started to understand that Bitcoin was a cyclical cycle. They were preparing ahead of time. They were less likely to sell, and in turn led to kind of a mini bull market before things technically should have popped off. And because of that, when the bull, quote unquote bull market, the halvening event happened, and we really didn't see what we wanted to see, people lost faith. People were like, maybe this isn't it this time. And then because of that, we kind of got a lackluster cycle. Now, the way the market is currently looking, I'm not quite sure it's done, but I am overall I'm starting to lose faith in a $200,000 goal for this bull market. I think it might take another cycle if it continues to act the way that it does. But at the moment, we have the bullish patterns. We're confirming either support off of local lows for the retest, and ensuring that we deserve this higher price point, or in Bitcoin's case, which is even more bullish, confirming support off of previous local highs. So I think things look pretty damn good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the US 100. Obviously, with all the tariffs and stuff going on, I'm keeping an eye on it, which, to be honest, they're doing quite well with the tariffs. Listen, I'm not going to get too major into it. Obviously, tariffs, I don't think should be a super political thing, because at the end of the day, it's economy and math. But I do want to point out something that not a lot of people talk about. So in a lot of these articles, I forgot which president. Was it Truman? I forgot which president it was. But back in the 1940s, 1950s, they implemented tariffs, kind of like how they're trying to do right now. But I think these articles talk about how well it didn't work out for them and how much of a negative impact it had. I think they're really missing the point in how our economy has totally shifted from 1940s till today. I mean, at this point, our job, our role as the United States is to be a consumer. Obviously, we have income to consume items, but we are the global consumer. We are no longer necessarily exporting anywhere close to the amount of goods from the 1940s when those tariffs were implemented. So it's really the other country that is getting the short end of the stick in this, because we are the consumers. So I just wanted to point that out, because that's not something that people really bring up when they're talking about the tariffs. And my personal opinion is I'm fine with tariffs. As long as we don't have to pay taxes, right? Because there's got to be some sort of trade-off. And that's the whole thing. When I was a kid, I'm like, why do we pay sales tax and income tax if we're spending our income on sales tax? So if they do come along and implement a 10% standard tariff, and that's added on to most of the goods that we buy in the grocery store, if they take that 10% and say, all right, well, you're good on your taxes as long as you're not ultra rich, I am completely fine with that. I'd rather do that instead of this cat and mouse game of, did you report the right amount? Did you miss something? Because we know you missed something. God, it's so stressful. Iron Scooby, I don't know if I said good morning, man, but I appreciate you. Good morning. Hey, Kite, how do you suggest to take profits on spot? What do you mean? Usually, it would come down to support and resistance. If we're approaching a large macro resistance, you can start scaling out of it. And then if we break above that resistance, you can go ahead and jump back in. All right. So a buy is basically you're putting the trade on, and then a sell is It just don't overcomplicate it. Think of buy as long. Think of sell as short. And then use the support and resistances just how you would normally with ABCs. But if you are in a long position, aka you're buying a long ABC, all right, your stop loss is a sell. And then same thing. If you are in a short, thinking that the market is going to turn down, your stop loss is a buy. So play it the same way. But when it does come to spot trading, the local lows and the local highs do play a bit of a more important role. Obviously, with leverage, we're trying to find these really, really close entries to the turning point. So we tend to aim more towards the ABCs with confluence with the local highs and local lows. With spot, you're going to be playing more of a general area. So it's going to be the opposite. You're looking for local highs and local lows to lead the way, but then ABCs, obviously depending on the size, as confluence with your decisions. It's me, Barry, one of your first followers. How are you, my steak boy? I'm doing all right. Life's been rocky for the past 2 years, but things are on the up and up. You know what I've noticed, and I find quite fascinating? My viewership ABCs. I've looked at, so I need to start screenshotting it, but towards the end of every stream, it shows me like a little chart, just like how I'm looking at a chart now. And it shows me like the concurrent viewership as time progresses. And I kid you not, we ABC top and we ABC bottom. And it's almost like, because of what I know in terms of charting, if I wanted to game the YouTube algorithm, all right, because the whole thing with a YouTube algorithm and recommended and stuff like that is viewer retention versus how much time you're streaming. So like if I stream for 11 hours and people are constantly popping in and out, it's going to view the stream as like, okay, it's halfway decent, but you do have people leaving. But then if I stream for 30 minutes to an hour and I'm watching for the ABC top and then end the stream shortly after, it's going to show a much higher viewer retention on the statistics. So the following stream, it's going to pump it out to more people. And I don't even need new people. You know, sometimes it won't even show you the notification if you're subscribed to the channel, which I don't know why YouTube works like that, because if someone subscribes, then let them have it. But I get it. I mean, some people have had their YouTube accounts for 20 years almost. So when you have hundreds of subscriptions, it's kind of hard to prioritize who gets shown and who doesn't. But that's why I always do the announcement in Discord. Don't even say bye, just cut it off. Just like when I was born. Didn't even get to say goodbye. Oh, that's such a bad joke. Oh, man. Check out the SPY here. These were the local lows from the SPY. The SPY actually had quite a bit of a scare, to be honest with you. The US 100, you know, was a little bit more in line with its supports. But there was a very short moment on the SPY here where things looked dangerous. You know, thank goodness we pumped back up a bit here. So on the 2-hour chart, we do have a little bit of an ABC bearish ABC forming. We have not quite put in the higher high yet, but this would, I would assume that this would be into a retest to kind of create a larger structure for potentially a higher push, a higher retest. Doesn't quite have to be. That's the feeling I'm getting here. that a dad joke? No, it was a foreskin joke. So I don't know. I don't know if if many dads are out here making foreskin jokes. Listen, man, you said don't even say bye, just cut it off. It was sitting there. It was teed up for me. A little bit of crude humor on a Thursday afternoon. Looking at number go up. Yeah, anybody wanted me to take a look at their particular coin? I'm open to suggestions for a little bit. Obviously, it's gonna be a bit of a short stream day. We've talked about Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. Let me tell you, XRP. XRP is kind of in the mindosphere lately. XRP, very nice ABC bottom. Similar to LTC. I don't know. I feel like this was a little bit more appetizing than Litecoin was. Litecoin was way deeper of a cut. So yeah, XRP actually had the better setup here. And at the moment, let me see. At the moment, we actually have the ABC structure here. I wouldn't be too eager to hedge this one in particular, because like I said, it's about looking at the other coins as well. Bitcoin, it's only in its A position right now. We really don't have a solid B position. So even though Litecoin is showing the A to B to C, I wouldn't really assume that this is going to be an actual dump here off of this ABC. I'm going to assume that it's going to kind of do just a little bit of that. And then Bitcoin at the same time will be putting in its downtrend for its B wave. And then we'll see that. And then if you wanted a hedge trade off of this top, then I feel like that's a little bit more appropriate. No, I meant about your dad leaving when you were born. No. I never implied that. My dad stuck around, thankfully. No, I was just referring to, as a baby, you don't even get to say goodbye, and they cut it off. And you just... Oh, man. Okay. Moving past that. Good setup, David. Good setup. Set up more home runs in the future. I'm long on BTCD. Should I sell? Are you able to just straight up trade the Bitcoin dominance chart, or do you mean like you're buying Bitcoin based off of Bitcoin dominance? But I mean, we'll take a look at the chart here. We are at a kind of resistance point here. We don't really have like a macro ABC short position. This was the last one here. And then we had a kind of medium time frame ABC position here, but it was overclouded by the larger structure, which gave you the long position here to kind of verse it. So I mean, yeah, I mean, like we're at resistances, but we don't quite yet have any break of trend here with a retest to really say that this is going to be a top with a continuation to the downside. Man, now I'm the butt of a joke. I'm over here doing legitimate analysis. just because you said something. Can you take a look at ETH? Yeah, we've taken a look at ETH today, but I'll go ahead and do a little recap here. So Ethereum found support off of its local lows in the macro chart with a combined 1 hour ABC long trade in that region. So at the moment, we have plenty of room to the upside. I wouldn't really be too eager in selling off any long positions or taking any short positions. Until we get to at least this resistance here. The reason why is we you know, if you go down to the 1 hour chart, which once again it's the 1 hour. All right, if you think that a 1 hour short ABC is going to break through a macro local low, it could happen. You know, not discounting it, but it's not a very high likelihood. So even though there is this ABC position here, I wouldn't be taking that because look how close we are to macro local lows. All right, so in my opinion, it's going to be a very, very short-lived trade if you do take that. So just stay away from it. We have plenty of room until we get to some higher local highs in the previous downtrend. Here, you know, here and here and here and here. So obviously some of these are a little bit more minor resistances compared to the ones that are marked out, particularly I'd say like this one and this one. But yeah, we have you know, some room to come up here, at least to this resistance. If we do get some sort of, you know, structure telling us that this resistance is going to have more of a hefty rejection, then sure, you know, at that point you do have a lot of space to work with back down to these local lows, and you know, profit to be had. So at that point, that actually might form what we need, which is a B wave. All right, that's what we're hoping for here. Because if we look at the macro chart here for Ethereum, there is no break of trend here. Obviously, there's break of trend on like the minor to medium time frames, but in terms of the macro structure here, there is no break of trend on this downtrend. So what we're hoping for here is if we came up to here, all right, that would definitely signal a break of trend. And then obviously, kind of like how I marked out here, if we do get something like that, that might be very, very good for Ethereum, because that would be a macro ABC long structure off of macro local low support. And then from that point, we could definitely come back up and retest some of these higher resistances with a little bit more security. Hi, Kite. Hope you're doing well. Hoping for a Moon Boy summer this year. Yeah, hopefully. I don't have so much hope in it, but the bullish structures are there. So, you know, in all honesty, as long as the price is moving up and down in a pretty decent range, there's nothing really much to be sad about. Chainlink. Chainlink, unfortunately, doesn't have anything so major. We did have, you know, somewhat of an ABC here. Obviously, it doesn't look too appetizing, but it was there. And obviously, we've gotten some sort of momentum off of it. You can see the previous resistance here was kind of being used as support from this kind of range here. And then we flip to support. So we have local high here. I don't know if I really want to mark those ones out. And local high here and here. So, I mean, if we can get back above this resistance here, there's plenty of room to work with. So there's not a whole lot there to be said, but hopefully we can get a little bit something more appetizing. Like I said, if Bitcoin, Litecoin, and all that is going to have a bit of a downtrend, hopefully this has a little bit more upside to it, and maybe we get something on the way back down. I'm not saying a continuation of this lower low here, but if we did get more of a generic ABC position closer to what we would assume would be the macro, that might not be a bad position to take, because then at that point you actually might be able to break through this resistance here and be on your way to retest this one. And that's a pretty decent range right there. I mean, the range itself is 70%, and if you can get an entry down here close to you know, this previous ABC long support region, you know, from this one right here with a new structure, and carry it into the retest of that resistance, that'd be quite substantial. Now, you probably won't reach that one. If you did retest the upside, it would probably be a retest of the macro ABC short position on the chart here. Thanks for being a good sport, Kite. Glad you're back. Glad to be back. Sorry for the missed days. You know, I tried to keep on schedule, but you know, life be doing that sometimes. You said I have spot holdings on CRV and Cody. CRV. Not a whole lot to say. We did have the ABC long here, which we retested, confirmed support, you know, inverse head and shoulders. So we're probably due, you know, where we're hitting the previous local low, and it's kind of looking like resistance. You know, this is the what I'm talking about here. So it's kind of using it as resistance, which would make sense because there's not a whole lot going on within this trend to use as support resistance, so it's kind of just searching. We're probably due for a retest of the downside, but I won't be too scared. In all honesty, I mean, if we did happen to put in the lower low here, this would be a pretty fantastic and tasty looking ABC. Not gonna lie, you know. So keep your eyeballs out for that. But more than likely, it's gonna just stay within the range here. But probably due for a retest. And then obviously it looks like the macro overall is trying to retest and create the larger ABC structure here before any like major resolution, whether that be upside or downside. So something to be aware of. And then you said Cody. Actually looks, I mean, it's an altcoin, so there's a lot of jiggies and jaggies, but for the most part, if we're looking at the overall structure, it actually looks very, very healthy. Very, very healthy structure. So I mean, we've kind of had a triple layered ABC on the C wave, but overall, like the macro structure, like if we kind of like blur our eyeballs and get rid of all the, you know, blips and blaps, it looks very, very good, actually. And there's not like any major resistance until these two price points. So, I mean, the range is large and the pattern is great. Yeah, I mean, it does not look bad. You know, obviously, things happen. Is it going to stick? Is it going to hold? Are we going to get the maximum retest? Who knows? But yeah, I think this is something worth taking a chance on. And I... just from a chart perspective, I don't know anything about the coin, but it looks good. Looks really good. Do you think Ethereum would be considered dead if it can't make a significant all-time high? Performance has been terrible this cycle, at least so far. No, I don't think it's... I mean, I'm sure there's some people that are going to use that terminology, but in all honesty, I am a big proponent that we don't always have to make an all-time high. And there's going to come a day where Bitcoin doesn't make a new all-time high from the previous cycle. Because, like I said, I think that it's going to take time for pressure to build, through multiple halvenings in order to get any sort of real effect to push past the previous all-time high. Unless there's any macroeconomic events, people flooding into Bitcoin for whatever reason, maybe the country falls or something like that. But outside of that, if we're just looking at the regular things that caused Bitcoin all-time highs, there's going to come a time where that's going to happen. I'm not going to consider it dead because, like gold, for example, there's been like years and years where it didn't make a new all-time high. Obviously, it's doing quite well right now, but there's been plenty of times where things just need to kind of chill out, find an equilibrium. Right here, this is almost like 4 years or something. A little bit less than 4 years, but you get my point. Obviously, it's it's going to its new all-time highs, but you mentioned that the gap between A and C for Litecoin is too big, and the gap between XRP is perfect. I wouldn't say XRP is perfect. I just said that it was better than Litecoins, which, meaning like if I was to take a trade off of Litecoin, I would be more likely to take a trade off of Litecoin than XRP. Obviously, the closer the better, but like this is pretty in line with what we would want to see. And to be honest with you, there's really no like set in stone percentages. I'm on a logarithmic chart, so everything is symmetrical based on percentages. And I just kind of been doing it so long that I look at it and I ask myself, does that look healthy? If I do enter there, what's the likelihood that I'm going to have to fight for my life? And the closer we are to the A and the C, the endpoints, the more likely that when or if we get a retest to the upside based on the bullish structure, it's going to shoot farther into the range and farther away from my current entry point. So that way I don't have to stress so hard. Whereas on Litecoin, you can see how, yes, did we get a very bullish performance out of the price action? Yes, we did. But now my entry point is at the A of the larger ABC structure. And because of the way the market's moving, it definitely could be rocking back and forth a little bit over this line before we get any sort of resolution. So that's why I'm waiting on the secondary structure within the trend to kind of confirm that we're going to pump a little bit further into this range here before, that way I don't have to stress too much about my entry point. Where's the pup? Oh, he's sleeping right now. He's sleeping. I'm trying to steal my grandma's gold and head to the pawn shop when it hits 4K thoughts. Don't do that to grandma. Grandma doesn't deserve that. Be a good grandson. Show her that you're deserving. And hopefully, when that time comes, she leaves you what's appropriate. But show respect. And she might throw you some bones. Oh, God, that sounds worse when I just implied grandma's final days. Not her bones. All right. I'm going to cut it off there. We're just going to skip past that. All right, guys. Pratish, what's going on, man? Happy to see you. What's going on, man? But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. I appreciate you guys' time today. It's been a blast. Like I said, I'm very sorry I missed the past 10 days. I'm going to try to be back. I'll try to stream tomorrow. Catch up on a little bit of the debt that I owe you guys in terms of a stream. and then we'll kind of resume the regular schedule at a later date. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a great day, and hopefully price action's treating you well. Like I said, we are in the long position for Bitcoin. We are currently waiting on a signal for a short hedge. And at the current moment, there's really nothing to be said for that. So we'll kind of just wait and see what happens with the market. And I'll keep you guys updated as best I can. So thanks for the Pirate Nation trade a few weeks back. See you, Kite. Well, hopefully it did well. I don't remember that coin. But yeah, hopefully it worked out. Whatever I said. Scott Child, thanks for the time, man. Thank you for your time as well. I appreciate you. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and head out of here. And like I said, I'll try to be back tomorrow morning. For anybody that's in the Discord, I'll go ahead and post. And, just a little bit of a plug before we go ahead and head out. I would really appreciate it if anybody signs up for the FIMX link in the description below. If you guys are looking for a new trading website with a little bit better UI and a little bit more tools at your disposal, that is an option. If you go ahead and make your account through the link below, you don't have to KYC at all. You'll get full access to the website and all its tools, which, hey, if you're an American, Canadian, I know we're all looking for that. So make sure you pay your taxes on it. Everything will be good. That's all you got to do. And, yeah, I'd really appreciate it if you guys signed up for that. Makes me look good to the sponsor. And obviously, it's a really decent website. I've enjoyed using it so far. All right, guys. With that being said, appreciate your time. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.